Simple past tense. Looks very nice, Mike. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihara पादकी जय और भक्तवृंद की जय और परमानंद ज्ञानंजन शलाकं चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च सहगणा रघुनाथं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण संगगण वन्दिता श्री विशाखान्वितंश्च यं कृष्णं करावलम्बे तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपदे कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यति पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर गोविंद कृष्ण 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 देव हरे राम हरे राम राम हरे हरे मुखं करोति यत्र वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतां चैतन्येश्वर। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो। We are reading from Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, verse number 47. Tasmana karya santrasho nakarpanyam sambrama Mutva jiva gatimtiro mukta sangaschare diha tasmana karya santrasho nakarpanyam na sambrama Mutva jiva gatimtiro mukta sangaschare diha tasmana karya santrasho nakarpanyam na sambrama Mutva jiva gatimtiro mukta sangaschare diha Tasman on account of death. Now, not Karya should be done. Santra Sabha. Or not. Karpanyam, miserliness, no, not Sambrama, eagerness for material gain, Bhutva, realizing, Jiva Gatin, the true nature of the living entity, Dhira, steadfast, Mukta Sangaha, free from attachment, Charit, one should move about, Iha, in this world. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, one should not view death with horror, nor have recourse to defining the body as soul, nor give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life, nor give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life. Realizing the true nature of the living entity, one should move about in the world, free from attachment and steadfast in purpose. Mm. Purport. A sane person who has understood the philosophy of life and death is very upset upon hearing of the horrible, hellish condition of life in the womb of the mother or outside of the mother. But one has to make a solution to the problems of life. A sane man should understand the miserable condition of this material body without being unnecessarily upset. He should try to find out if there is a remedy. The remedial measures can be understood when one associates with persons who are liberated. It must be understood who is actually liberated. The liberated person is described in Bhagavad Gita, one who engages in uninterrupted devotional service to the Lord, having surpassed the stringent laws of material nature, is understood to be situated in Brahma. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is beyond the material creation. He is admitted even by the impersonalists. It is admitted even by impersonalists like Shankaracharya that Narayan is transcendental to this material creation. As such, one who actually engages in the service of the Lord in various forms, either Narayan or Radha Krishna or Sitaram, he is understood to be on the platform of liberation. The Bhagavatam also confirms that liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position. Since the living entity is eternally the servitor of the Supreme Lord, when one seriously and sincerely engages in the transcendental, loving service of the Lord, he is situated in the position of liberation. One should try to associate with a liberated person, and then the problems of life, namely birth and death, can be solved. While discharging devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, one should not be miserly. He should not unnecessarily show that he has renounced this world. Actually, renunciation is not possible. If one renounces his palatial building and goes to a forest, there is actually no renunciation. For the palatial building is the property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the forest is also the property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he changes from one property to another, that does not mean that he renounces. He was never the proprietor of either the palace or the forest. Renunciation necessitates renouncing the false understanding that one can lord it over material nature. When one renounces this false attitude and renounces the puffed up position that he is also God, that is real renunciation. Otherwise, there is no meaning of renunciation. Rupa Goswami advises that if one renounces anything which could be applied in the service of the Lord and does not use it for that purpose, that is called Falku Vairagya, insufficient or false renunciation. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everything can be engaged in the service of the Lord. Nothing should be used for one's sense gratification. That is the real renunciation. nor should one unnecessarily increase the necessities of the body. We should be satisfied with whatever is offered and supplied by Krishna without much personal endeavor. We should spend our time executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That is the solution to the problem of life and death. Translation. Therefore, one should not view death with horror, nor have recourse to defining the body as soul, nor give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life. Realizing the true nature of the living entity, one should move about in the world free from attachment and steadfast in purpose. So this particular verse, Lord Kapila Muni is speaking about last few after describing the misery of the living entity within the womb and outside of the womb with various ages as he passes through and the various attachments the living entity develops and how those attachments lead to misery. Finally, Kapila Muni is describing about the birth and death. Kapila Muni says one should not be horrified by death, neither one should be very eager to enjoy the senses, but one should enjoy whatever Krishna provides. Prabhupada describes in the purport about the problems, the real problems. The real problems is we have to take birth in the mother's womb, and as we go through our course as living entities in different phases of life, there are problems everywhere. These problems are not resolved unless we go back about it. Then Prabhupada says one should not be frustrated by or should not be we cannot be um, satisfied unless we are completely absorbed in Krishna. Nature of this material world, there will be ups and downs. But this is not the case in spiritual world. In spiritual world, it is Chinmaya rasa, or everything is imbued with a transcendental joy. Um, every moment there is absorbed in loving service, and every moment the heart is filled with rasa, loving mellows towards Krishna. It is surcharged with their devotion. So if one has come down to this material world, then one should try to find, okay, what do I do now in this situation? So two things Prabhupada says. One thing he says is uh, one should not over endeavor in this world for sense gratification, uh, and one should utilize one's time in Krishna consciousness. One should move about in the world free from attachment and steadfast in purpose. Krishna described in second chapter about the steady mind. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopi Jana Vallabh ki jai. Jai Pati Pavan Gauranga ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So what is a steady mind? What is a steady mind? In Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. Determination. Many answers, but what does Krishna says about when the mind can be considered as steady?
Like an ocean.
Bhagavad Gita exam.
Ocean.
Yeah, that is what Krishna says. Like an ocean. He is unaffected by happiness and distress. How can, okay, then anything else? The hint is this verse says, Sthita Dhirmunir. What does Krishna says? Sthita
Be silent
Yes.
Dukkeshu anudvignamana sakeshu vigata vitaragata.
Mother, say again.
Dukkeshu anudvignamana
Sukheshu.
sakeshu vigata spriha vitaragabhaya krodha.
So, what are the four things Krishna says? How do we know the mind is steady? And Krishna says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. And if these 5 things are happening, then the mind can be set as steady. And the first thing Krishna says is one who is not affected by the miseries. When misery comes, his mind is not disturbed. How is that possible? Close your eyes, speak into the mic. How can we free from the miseries? One is not affected by the miseries. How, when is it possible that one is not affected by the misery? If he's also born in the if he's not attached. That's why here Krishna says one should move about this word free from attachment. So one should move about this word free from attachment. How is it possible? One should. What happens when we are attached? When we are attached, we will suffer and we will become overjoyed. These are the two signs of attachment. Recently, we were discussing one thing Yuval Kishore Prabhu mentioned. It was in New York University, and Prabhuji went there. Somebody's mother passed away. So one wife, mother passed away. She was very like she was broken, and the husband was consoling like the wife. But wife was severely broken, and he was affected by seeing her suffering. So Prabhuji was mentioned that's because her attachment to her mom is way more stronger than his attachment to mother-in-law. Yeah, that's right. So that's why he was not so much affected like somebody buys 5 houses down in the neighborhood. We're okay. This is the nature of this world. Somebody we love, they die. Then it's very difficult to take correct, right? So when attachment is there, what will happen? Misery will come because it will be taken away. And then when attachment is there, then happiness will come. And we will become overly joyed when our what we are attached from attachment. And then Krishna says, with the raga bhaya krodha. Rag is attachment and bhaya is fear. And here Krishna says one should not be horrified. So basically what Krishna is speaking, Lord Kapila, in the form of Lord Kapila is be stable while in this world. Don't be overly horrified and don't be attached. And in that way, engage in Krishna consciousness. So with the and krodha means anger. So what is the cause of anger? Cause of anger is also attachment. Krishna says that from kam comes krodha, kama krodha, krodha bhavati sammoha. So attachment, krodha, fear. Fear also it is said fear comes because of lack of surrender to Krishna. And fear comes because of bodily absorption also. When we are attached, we have a fear of losing. So if we see happiness, overjoy, misery, fear, anger, they all actually arise from attachment. So attachment gives rise to everything. Um, so, and then what Krishna says, Krishna also says, unless the mind is steady, mind where can happiness without peace? So that's why we are never happy because our mind is not steady. And then why? Because the desire to enjoy. 1 centimeter towards me. So I will follow whatever you say. Correct. So how can we work on our attachment? And Prabhupada speak in the purport about the principle of renunciation. Prabhupada says renunciation is a myth because Prabhupada gives an example of nothing belongs. One will leave the palace and go live in the forest. The forest also belongs to Krishna. Palace also belongs to Krishna. So what did you renounce? You never owned anything, right? So how can we renounce anything? So
But the level of renunciation goes to palatial renunciation is different than the forest renunciation.
well, somebody may be very much attached to forest also. They just love forest. They don't. I know person. They love forest and they don't love the house. And okay,
What about your friend Prabhu? You have to entire life.
maybe they just both and yeah, this material right. Yeah, imagining like one place we go another we become miserable there after some time. But this is going on with people. But then Rupa Goswami said this is Falgu Vairagya. What can be used in Krishna's service and then you renounce it. That is Falgu Vairagya. So then how do we live? Vairagya is also not permanent. And it's also it comes because of attachment. So the only way is we have to become Krishna conscious. When Krishna is in the mind, all the contamination will go away. So we have to identify our attachment to other than Krishna. Anything within the mind which is other than Krishna is the contamination of the mind. All attachments, fears, anger, critical mind, disturbance, lamentation, all these actually are disturbance of the mind. They are not contamination of the mind. And the only way Prabhupada says, uh, what is steady intelligence? We discuss about steady mind. What is steady intelligence as per Bhagavad Gita? Two times Krishna says steady intelligence. 2.61 and 2.68.
Yeah, which is not bewildered by the better mind of the story. Not bewildered.
Anyone should be Bhagavad Gita is correct topic because Krishna spoke better. And what is steady intelligence? Krishna's definition of steady intelligence. Very difficult to follow, but Krishna says steady intelligence is one who is able to restrain the senses. Just like a tortoise is withdrawn, like the boat, one of the a strong wind can sweep away the boat, like one of the burning senses can know the intelligence of a man who is able to control them. So steady intelligence is one who is able to restrain the senses. Very difficult. Um, and Krishna says one can have steady intelligence only when one senses are engaged in Krishna's service. Then only steady intelligence is possible. Without steady intelligence, steady mind, no peace, no happiness. So Krishna says, unless one is connected to Krishna consciousness, there is no possibility of peace and happiness. The only way is the only way out is one has to become fully Krishna conscious. And it is not easy to become fully Krishna conscious, but what we can do is we want to strive to bring Krishna in our mind as much as possible. Just chanting 16 rounds is good, but not sufficient. It's not necessary that one has to chant more than only one can go back to God. But Krishna's ultimate instruction is Man Mana Bhava. So always remember me. When we bring Krishna in our mind, the contamination of the mind and intelligence will go away. That otherwise we are always within three modes. says, who is a liberated person? Who is a liberated person? As per proper definition in the purport. Who is a liberated person?
Who is performing devotion journey?
How long?
Entire life.
Full time. 1 whole is. And then Prabhupada quotes the verse from 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It says those who want unfailing devotional service. When devotional service and unfailingly, they can go beyond the 3 modes. So if you see, our mind is always consuming 3 modes. And through that comes attachment, fear, anger. They are all arising from our effect from our absorption in the 3 modes. They are very subtle. And the only way is if the contamination of the 3 modes can be replaced by remembering Krishna. If you're not remembering Krishna, we are thinking from the perspective of 3 gunas. That point of time. So, and then Kapila also says steadfast in purpose. Steadfast in purpose is Vyasavnika buddhi. Ikeha kurunandana, bhavushankanam taschaya, buddhaya vyavasayina. Those who are steadfast in purpose, their aim is one. But those who are not steadfast in purpose, their intelligence is many branched. And our intelligence is also many branched, actually. But then what we try, or what we should try, is whenever the intelligence is getting many branched, we want to bring it back and focus on Krishna, focus on Krishna, focus on Krishna. Unless we are making constant effort to remember Krishna, we are certainly not excited to focus. When I'm speaking, when I'm doing kirtan, the purpose of kirtan is I want to glorify Krishna. I want to please Krishna. I want to remember the lotus feet of Krishna. So the only way is actually increasing our own Krishna consciousness. If we are constantly striving and working to remember Krishna and doing things for the pleasure of Krishna, then everything will be all right. Yes, doing things for the pleasure of Krishna. For the pleasure of Krishna. And if you become Krishna conscious, all these things will come. One will become steadfast, attachment, renunciation. What is actual renunciation? Actual renunciation is to renounce the attachment in the mind. We were discussing last time also. You can live in a palace and not be attached to a palace. You're actually renounced various great kings in Bhagavatam. So really what we really have to work on is somehow or other bring Krishna in our mind. That is the sum and substance. So, what is the sum and substance of all the instruction? Rupa Goswami says to always correct it. That is the sum and substance of all the instruction, is to always remember. That's all I can say. Anything?
Could you elaborate something more about actual renunciation is to develop detachment in mind? Can you speak with
Something more on this? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That's okay.
That's why
Hare Krishna. So, engineer. So yeah, Prabhu, the mind is attached. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says the main attachment, mind may develop due to contemplation, is wealth, and prestige. Because such, I want wealth or what can come with the wealth, and then this will become attached. And these are considered as contaminations of the mind. we water the bhakti beach, Mahaprabhu says sometimes the weeds also grows. And some of them need the pratishtha, agi, puja, pratishtha. Chahiye, chahiye. Correct, right? So we all have those desires. So these are weeds. And when we are running behind those, we miss the purpose. These are all contaminations of the mind. Anything which pratishtha क्यों चाहिए? Unenjoyable. Woman क्यों चाहिए? Unenjoyable. Wealth क्यों चाहिए? Unenjoyable. क्यों? And enjoyable life. So this is actually attachment. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I don't want these things. I only want Krishna Bhakti. So when one thing is we are trying to restrain, but the taste remains. That is also great. If you're restraining from them, although the taste is there, that is step one. Second step is the taste goes away.
But from the beginning, if you don't have the taste, then it is possible.
Taste is from previous lives, Prabhu. It's not something only from this life. Prabhupada says like the attachment to woman, wealth and fame is nobody teaches them. But they are born and they want. It's natural because coming from past life and they are very deep rooted. And the only way to overcome all the attachment is when we become attached to Krishna. Attached to Krishna will not happen naturally. Attached to Krishna, one has to try. Our jivan is like, our life is like, keep on pushing, keep on following what scripture says, is to always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. When we try to always remember Krishna, we remember Krishna 5 minutes. After trying to always remember Krishna throughout the day. And that has to increase. If you have a desire, then we like, oh, the moment we realize, oh, I have an unhealthy desire, immediately bring Krishna in front of you and start praying Krishna, Krishna, how can I please you, Krishna, how can I serve you? Krishna, what can I do for you? Ultimately, the seven substance of everything is Krishna, how can I please you? Krishna is sitting in our heart. And scripture says you just turn towards Krishna within your heart. And no matter what is happening in the world, just turn to Krishna within the region of you. Krishna, what can I do for you? Krishna, how can I serve you? The moment that is there, the external desires will go. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the external desires, they look just like a beach. We are running behind external things with an external motive in the name that this is a perfect devotional service. But we are not realizing कि प्रभु जी रास्ता कर देते हैं वीड वाटर हो रहा है भक्ति वाटर नहीं हो रहा. And then my spiritual master said it is almost impossible. But Prabhupada says a pure devotee can distinguish between what is bhakti and what is upashaka. Upashaka means unwanted shaka. Bhakti lata is like creeper, and unwanted creeper is upashaka. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, while watering the bhakti lata by Shravanam and Kirtanam, one should make sure one is not watering the upashaka. Otherwise, that will strangle the bhakti lata. And then Mahaprabhu says these upashakas are unlimited. Just try to see what I want. This is what I want. Why I want this? Why I want this? Do I want this to please myself, or do I want this to please Krishna? In bhakti, we want something. Why do I want this in bhakti? Do I want because it's nice to have it? Or do I want it actually to please Krishna? Most of the time, the answer will be because I want it. It is very wrong that Krishna wanted. So, how frequently we are watering the weeds? Constantly. And if you are really contemplative, you will see, yeah, bhakti to water hoy dira. Shavanam Kirtanam and our strength that we are gaining is going in wanting the Upashaka. And my spiritual master he says, most of us are watering the leaves. That's very difficult to distinguish because they look like This is bhakti. This is bhakti. But then it is mixed with upashaka. So first is identification, and the second is that's why Srila Prabhupada gave us the formula, Krishna, how can I serve you? All right, Prabhu. Sir, you want to add something? Exalted Vaishnava.
It's like a watering leaf.
I think can solve the real conditions. Okay. Anything on Zoom? Okay. Thank you very much for joining. If I spoke anything wrong, please forgive me. I just for serving.
It's like Shyamananda is the Prabhu.
Jai.
And the Krishna. Very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.